What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. In this one, we are going to be getting into the nitty-gritty, talking about how your life is your fault. Harsh, I know. But deep down, what you need to understand is that we as humans are always trying to blame someone or something else besides ourselves for our own problems. And even if you don't realize it, you are doing this. Subconsciously, you are constantly trying to direct blame elsewhere, direct fault elsewhere. In fact, this was our first instinct after the fall of man. What did man do when asked by God if he ate the fruit from the tree he was not supposed to eat from? He directed all of the blame at Eve. He said, oh, it was Eve's fault. Eve made me do it. And what did Eve say? Oh, it was the serpent. The serpent made me do it. It is innate in our DNA. It is our first reaction when we are confronted with things that we do not like, with outcomes that we do not like, with a life that we do not like. Our main first instinct is to blame others, to blame something else. It's not our fault. We think that it's going to make us feel so much better if we are able to direct the blame at somebody else. But what it does is exactly the opposite. You see, we live in a society that tells us, oh, don't be so hard on yourself. It's not your fault that you're fat. It's not your fault that you act this way. It's not your fault that you're broke, that you have no money. That's because you were born into a family that doesn't talk about finances very much. It's not your fault, it's your parents' fault that your life ended up like this. It's because they have such bad habits that they passed it along to you. It's not your fault. And in fact, a lot of therapists are extremely useless for this exact reason. They try to get you to have an external locus of control. They try to say, oh, it's because of this reason that you ended up like this. And there's no way to change it. That's just you now. You're kind of stuck with that. Now you have to accept that you're this way because of somebody else. Because of something that you cannot control, you are this way and you can't change. So it's better just to know about yourself and label yourself as this specific type of person. That's why therapy can be incredibly harmful, especially for men. But I am going to show you the path to freedom through all of this, through all of the muck. You see, a lot of people are not going to like this video because what I am proposing is extreme. It is an extreme solution. It is the opposite of balance. It is something that is going to make people say, ooh, that's going to be really difficult for me to do that. Yes, it should be very difficult. You are in a battle against your own nature. Think about what a battle entails. It means it is a fight to the death. That is what you are doing in this situation. It is you versus your nature. And if you don't take that battle seriously, you are going to fall. So what you need to understand, number one, you need to understand that taking extreme ownership of your life is the key to start changing. Extreme ownership. That's also the title of a book by Jocko Willink, and I read that for the first time when I was working a 9-to-5 job. Taking extreme ownership enables you to start changing your habits. It gives you the keys to the car. It says, hey man, you can drive now. You don't have to sit in the passenger seat. You get to drive the car. Here are the keys. Control your own habits. Control your own life through your actions. Changing your life is going to start by taking this extreme ownership. And it looks like saying, my life is my fault. The situation that I am in right now is my fault. Even if for some reason there are circumstances outside of your control that result in you being in a shitty situation, you still decide to say, it's my fault. I take responsibility for it. I could have thought more ahead. I could have done something differently. I could have been better here, because there are always places that we can be better. There are always ways for us to improve. So realize that you control your environment, you control your mood, you control your mindset, and you control your actions. These are legitimately the 4 things that most people try to blame other people for. They spend their entire life, they spend so much of their energy trying to convince other people, oh yeah, I can't change my environment. I'm fat because I live with a bunch of fat people. There's a bunch of shitty foods in the pantry. You know, if only I lived by myself. If I only had the money to live by myself, I'd be able to throw all the garbage foods in the pantry, and then I would get healthy. But it's because of the other people around me, because all my shitty roommates decide that they want Oreos in the pantry. It's not my fault. Environment. Your mood. Oh yeah, I'm just in a super shitty mood today because I got super shitty sleep last night. Whose fault was it that you got shitty sleep last night? It was yours. You didn't plan well, and now you're in a shitty mood, and you're blaming your mood, which is yours. It's something that you should be owning, and you're blaming it on something else. You're blaming it on the sleep. Well, hate to break it to you, buddy, the sleep is your fault. Your mindset. When you look at things, oh yeah, I couldn't have controlled that. Really couldn't have fixed that, to be honest with you. Well, of course you could have. There's so many different things leading up to exactly what happened that were perfectly within the realm of your control. Go back through it. Dissect. How could have things gone differently? Because I'm telling you right now, you always have the ability to control things that lead up to a certain circumstance. Control your mindset, your actions, your habits. Go listen to my video, The 11 Habits of the Unbreakable Man, if you really want a solid foundation of how to go about implementing the things in your daily routine that are going to help you rise up. Now, when I read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink for the first time, what I realized is that I was doing exactly the opposite of everything that he was talking about in that book. I was incredibly convicted. I was working a job at the time as a manager. So it was like a 9-to-5 job. And I realized that it was my job to manage these employees. And yet whenever one of them would make a mistake, whenever my manager or my boss would figure out that someone in my department had made a mistake, I would offer that person up on a silver platter to the person above me. And I would say, oh, yep, here, found the problem. He fucked it up. Here you go. He's the problem. And I realized, why am I not taking responsibility for the people who are under my responsibility? I am supposed to be the one that is dictating what these people do. I am supposed to be the one that is in charge of these people's success. And yet I would just have no problem offering one of my subordinates up on a silver platter to one of my superiors. I felt so convicted after realizing this. I'm like, what are the other ways in my life that I am just betraying people, constantly trying to shift blame over to other people, or even betraying myself by letting myself get away with things? Whenever I would do something wrong, I would start to think about what are 100 different reasons why what happened right here was not my fault, even though the end result ultimately happened because I did something wrong. There's some way that I can possibly think of to involve somebody else in my mistake and make this their fault. That was just my automatic thought process. And it's ingrained so deeply into us. Remember Adam and Eve? It's exactly how we are trying to act. So ask yourself the question, who are you blaming? Are you blaming your friends? Are you blaming your parents? Are you blaming God? I really want you to sit down and ask yourself this question, because God wants you to wrestle with him. God wants you to wrestle with him. I've talked about that before. Like Jacob, like Job, like David, like Solomon. God wants you to wrestle with him. He wants you to go back and forth with him and ask him questions, these hard questions that we don't know the answer to. Like, God, why does sin exist in the world? Why is everything so hard? Why is life a constant battle? Why does it seem like through suffering is where I achieve the most freedom? Why is everything so difficult? Why must I work so hard in order to see the fruits of my labor? Why can't life just be paradise? We struggle with that question and we wrestle with God because of that. And we may never know the answer. It's the problem of sin. It's the problem of evil. But if these questions turn you bitter towards God, you are cooked. You go down a dark path. You see, with every single person in the Bible, they clung to God and begged him for a blessing after they wrestled with God. They said, please bless me. And if you crave God's blessing, it is a sign that you are not bitter. So God wants you to wrestle with him, but you can't blame him. You can't blame God, and you can't blame your parents. You can't blame your family. You can't blame your friends. Whose fault is your life? You need to be extreme. Why do you need to be extreme? All right? Why is it called extreme ownership? It's because of the very aspect that you are in a battle against your own nature, and it is life or death. Your nature is constantly seeking to undermine you. It is constantly sneaking to come up behind you and stab you in the back. That is your nature. And if you turn your back on it, if you take a passive approach to going to war with your nature, you will lose every single time. I am constantly calling for men to be more extreme when it comes to holding on to their values, when it comes to defending their values. I think that they should defend their values at all costs, because we have these foundational principles as men that we need to set in stone. Like, hey, this is right, this is wrong. And when you live your life just constantly seeking to find this middle ground and this gray area, when you don't have this approach to life where you walk through and you say, hey, this is wrong. This is not what God would have wanted. It's not what I want. This is disgusting to me. And when you say this over here is good. This over here is good. This is holy. This is pure. This is upright. When you don't have that system of navigating the world, you fall into nothingness. You become nothing. You do not stand for something. So please, be more extreme when it comes to holding on to your values. You need to be extreme against all forms of temptation. Just like lust. You know, you're going to be tempted to lust. You're going to be tempted to blame. You are going to be tempted to be bitter. You are going to be tempted towards all of these things. It's a constant battle against your vices. Now, one thing that I also want you guys to hear is that once you accept this extreme ownership, there's a great peace that comes upon you. But there is also great chaos. I want you guys to think of the Matrix, all right? When Neo takes the red pill. You know, he's given the choice between the red pill and the blue pill. The red pill will take him to reality. The blue pill will keep him living in a simulation, in a perfect, ideal world where everything is good and you are protected from the harsh realities of the real world. When you take the red pill, you realize that the world is a scary place. But now, your decisions actually matter. Because the things that you do, the decisions that you make, they actually happen. It's not in a simulation. It's in the real world. And everyone else can stay in the Matrix. Everyone else can keep blaming other people. Everyone else can continue to avoid taking responsibility for their own life. Is that a world that you want to live in? It's not a world that I want to live in. Give me the harsh reality. Give me the truth, the matter of the fact that is, I create my own life. I am the one that puts myself in every single environment that I am in. I am the one that can control where my life goes. Now, what you have to be careful of is that if you fall into the real world, you can also fall into the pit of despair. You realize that you are scum of the earth, and now you realize, okay, everything is my fault. I now know what I need to do, but I still don't do it. And that, it's so real, it's such a raw and powerful reality that it's very, very convicting. And a lot of people fold under this and they fall into despair. They think, well, I know what to do, but I still don't do it. The domino effect is the step ladder that you use to get out of the pit of despair. What is the domino effect? If you think about it, if there's a whole bunch of dominoes lined up, and every single domino, the next one is twice its size. If you start with one single domino and you tip it up against the biggest domino that's at the end of the line, it would just go like this, dink, and it would rest up against it. That big domino is not falling anytime soon. But if you use the domino effect, it goes from a small domino, dink, up against a domino that's only twice its size. And then that smaller domino falls onto the next one. And it starts to build up momentum. It starts to build up speed. It's the step ladder that you use to get out of that despair once you have truly woken up. And the beauty of this is your habits that you have control over. Things like waking up early, things like exercising every day, things like eating right. When you start with the small things, you start to realize that you are moving towards the bigger things and you are building up confidence, you are building up momentum. And finally, that massive domino will fall. It will be doable and it won't even feel that hard because you've built up that momentum. You've built up that trust in yourself. See, I lived a life of balance and passivity for far too long. You guys might say, well, Brandon, you're only 24 years old. I'm 30 years old. Well, you've been living it longer than I have. It's time to wake up. Even though I only lived, until my early 30s living this way, I had a harsh wake-up call. And I realized I should have been doing this way sooner. Like at my job, at my 9-to-5 job, when I started taking that extreme ownership of everything, when somebody would fuck up that was on my team, and I would say, that is my bad. I should have warned you about this. I should have gone over this with you last week when I had some spare time. I should have been teaching you about how to avoid this. When I would go to my superiors and I would tell my superiors, this was 100% my fault. And they would ask me, okay, like who fucked it up this time? And I would be like, I fucked it up this time. Like it was my bad. And they're like, oh, but you weren't here the day that this problem happened. I fucked it up. It was my bad. When you start taking that level of extreme ownership, watch how people's respect for you skyrockets. It goes through the roof. They appreciate you so much more. And they understand what you are trying to do. They understand that you are taking control of things that you could easily have sometimes said, yeah, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. But what you are doing is you are treating the small things like they are big. And you are saying, even if there is just a hair of responsibility from me in there, this whole thing was my fault. Even if there is just a tiny piece of it that I could have controlled, it's my fault. I will take it on me. And that's ultimately what Jesus did for us on the cross. Like everything points back to him. I mean, everything points back to Jesus. He took the ultimate weight of all sin on himself and conquered it. And we're supposed to be created in the image of God. We are supposed to be looking to Jesus as an example of how we are supposed to go about life. So this idea of extreme ownership, it's extremely biblical. It's extremely masculine at its core. Jesus being the ideal definition of who a man is. A warrior, a prophet, a priest, and a king. Now, when you play the blame game, everybody loses. Not just you. You don't win by being able to get to pin your problem on somebody else. You lose. You lie to yourself. You don't hold yourself accountable. You let yourself get away with it. Everybody around you loses. They suffer because of your lack of dignity, your lack of honor. This reality check is what every modern man needs. Every modern man is addicted to playing the blame game. And it's the reason why I love fitness so much. It's why I have been able to become so successful with business at such a young age. Is because early on, I said, hey, the way that I look, I can control that. I can use my actions to change my physical appearance. How cool is that? And yet so many people are stuck in this cesspool of, oh, I can't do it because of my hormones. I have hypothyroid. I can't lose weight. I can't lose weight because I live with a bunch of idiots. I can't lose weight because my parents were fat. I got some shitty genetics. How terrible is that? I have hypothyroid. I get shredded. I've been bodybuilding for 5 years. I have hypothyroid. I never use that as an excuse. It doesn't even enter my head to use that as some sort of excuse because I know that I can still control the way that I look regardless of the fact that I have hypothyroid or not. I'm not looking constantly for other things to blame. So please stop blaming and start owning things for yourself. You know, as soon as you guys start to realize that all of life is a battle, like I said, there is a peace that comes with that, but there is a turmoil as well. There's a peace in realizing that you are constantly fighting every single morning that you wake up. You are fighting against something. You know, getting your dream physique is something that's fantastic. You know, getting to the point where you've lost a bunch of fat, you've built a bunch of muscle, and you're finally feeling that confidence. And a lot of people tell themselves in their head, and I even do the same thing, I catch myself on this. I say, you know what, once I get to that 8% body fat mark, and I have this much muscle, then I'm going to feel so happy, I'm going to feel so accomplished, and the battle's going to be over. Then I tell myself subconsciously, and I don't even realize that I'm doing this, sometimes I have to catch myself on it, is I tell myself, then I'll be able to eat whatever I want. Then I won't feel bad about eating whatever I want because I will have achieved that level of musculature at 8% body fat. And once I'm there, I can eat whatever I want. I tell myself that in my own head. And I have to check myself, and I'm like, wait, once I get there, once I get to the body fat percentage that I'm going to want to be at, I'm going to have to fight to maintain it. It's a fight to maintain. It's not just a fight to get there. If my business is growing, I'm in a battle. It's hard. If my business is maintaining, I'm in a battle. It's hard. If my business is declining, I'm in a battle. It's hard. No matter what is going on, I'm constantly in a battle. So if I'm always waking up in a battle, and you can come to terms with that and just say all of life is a fight. I'm not going to get to this point with my physique where I'm perfectly satisfied all of the time. Once you realize, hey, this is a battle that never ends, then you realize the main goal every single day is to just continue to fight. You know, think about all of the kings in the Bible, some of the greatest men after God's own heart. They failed to continue fighting. They failed to continue the battle throughout their life because men have amnesia. They forget they start to get old. They start to fall into comfort. And then they start to fall into lust. They stop fighting the battle. And you can see the points in all of these kings' lives when they start to deteriorate, when they start to make those compromises. A lot of them start out so devoted and then they fall into sin later in their life because they grow weary of seeing that life as the battle. They lose their scope. They lose their frame. Why do people get married and then often end up gaining a ton of weight? That's a question that somebody asked me recently. It's because they didn't realize that the battle doesn't end when you get married. Just as soon as you get a girlfriend, it doesn't mean you just get to stop working out and start eating shitty foods because like, oh, I attracted a girlfriend. Now I don't have to look good anymore. No, the battle continues. You have to continue fighting. You have to continue fighting to be attractive for that person. To be a good provider for that person. The battle never stops. It's an ongoing war. And so many people forget this. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys found it helpful, make sure to drop a like down below. Also make sure to put a singular thumbs up emoji in the comment section if you guys watched all the way through to the end of this video, because if you did, you are a legend. Well done. You've got an awesome attention span. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Hope you guys took something away from this. Please remember to apply it to your own life.